News at 11.
The goal is to punish New York, and it does not take a political science person to figure that out.
The battle lines are being drawn in a fight between the state and federal government. Good evening, I'm Ashley Rowe. The state is suing over a decision that could make it tougher for you to cross the Canadian border. A new federal policy bans New Yorkers from enrolling or renewing their membership in trusted traveler programs like Nexus. Local and state leaders are calling this political retribution over New York's green light law. The law prevents federal authorities from being able to access DMV records.
You're going to create log jams not just for people who formerly were Nexus holders, but also for law-abiding citizens who are trying to travel.
This forces the officers who serve as our nation's frontline defense against dangerous criminals to approach vehicles without knowing who owns it and without being able to confirm the identity of the driver of it.
4 U.S. attorneys signed a statement that calls a lack of access to DMV records a grave safety risk. Tonight we are going in depth. First, to figure out what case the state is trying to make in the courtroom. The state's lawsuit essentially hinges on 3 things: due process, the 10th Amendment, which limits the federal government's powers and protects state sovereignty, and a federal law called the Administrative Procedure Act, which governs the decisions made by federal agencies. This law is the one that University at Buffalo law professor Jim Gardner zeroed in on when I spoke with him today.
One of the conditions, the most common one, is that their actions not be so-called arbitrary and capricious, which means that there has to be some sort of sound, rational reason for them. They can't be, well, arbitrary.
Well, the federal government is justifying the ban. U.S. Attorney James Kennedy said New York is the only state with a green light law that prohibits sharing DMV information with federal customs and border agencies. Opponents of the rule change say this will make you and everybody else have to wait longer at border crossings. Nikki Dementri continues our coverage with the ripple effect this could have on people who are bringing much more than themselves across the border.
It's a waiting game for truck companies across New York State.
Just waiting to see exactly how it shakes out.
An estimated 30,000 people who use the Free and Secure Trade Program, or FAST program, this year will be impacted by the federal government's Trusted Traveler ban. The FAST program expedites truck shipments through the border. But now that New Yorkers are unable to apply or reapply for Trusted Traveler programs, truck companies fear wait times at the border could get worse.
We want to know that as a carrier based 20 minutes from the border, that we have policies that support our ability to interact in cross-border trade. What we would like is that to become easier and not more difficult.
Treg Lewis is the operations lead for Relco Systems, a trucking company in Lockport that moves automotive freight. Every day, Relco drivers move some 6 to 10 times across the New York-Canadian border alone.
We really care about our drivers. We just want to make sure that they know it's coming, that they know the procedures, that potentially they will be denied, and how we're going to work with them.
Lewis says this could also hurt the company's competitive edge.
Commercial companies that cross the border are really going to have to think about how they compete with other states that are not affected by these same laws.
For us, this is a security issue.
The Trucking Association of New York says the impact won't be immediate, but will be detrimental. More than 1 million trucks cross the Peace Bridge annually. It's the state's busiest automotive crossing to Canada.
We're hoping that we can move past the politics of the issue, recognize that this is a security issue, and hopefully the state and the federal government can come to a resolution quickly on it.
But despite the economic concerns from people and companies impacted by the Trusted Traveler ban, federal government officials insisted today that it's a safety measure to stop criminals from crossing the border. Live in the studio tonight, Nikki Dementri, 7 Eyewitness News.